My COVID story starts on the 6th of December 2020. It was a Sunday. We had a family braai. And then I remember my father was very tired that day. And my brother and his wife, they said that we need to keep our distance because they were in contact with someone early in the week who tested positive. But we went on, we had our braai. And then the next day I saw my father again and he was much sicker. He had a cough. And then my symptoms started the Tuesday, the 8th of December. The Tuesday my symptoms started, lower back pain, and I was just tired, extremely tired. But I didn't think I had COVID yet. I just thought I'm just maybe overtired. And then the Wednesday, I felt really bad. I had cold shivers, full body aches. I was nauseous and stuff like that. But still didn't think I had COVID. And then the Thursday I woke up and I felt like, okay, this is a flu or cold because I felt really bad. My nose was blocked, stuffy, I had a cough. And then I took off from work that day. My supervisor sent through a list of symptoms that you should look out for. And the one that jumped out for me was eye pain. And the eye pain was different to a cold or flu. You don't get eye pain usually. And that's when I knew, no, I probably have COVID. And then my wife, around the same time, she also felt symptoms. She had a high temperature that day. Also body aches and a cough. But then we just isolated. We started taking our vitamins, cold and flu tablets. We took Benados. And then went by the weekend. That following Monday, the 14th December, my father passed on that morning. So he didn't get tested. He stayed at home, but he had a bad cough. He had no appetite. And I think his oxygen just got too low. And then my mother took him to the hospital, but it was too late. They couldn't revive him. So that was the 14th. The 15th, my eldest brother got admitted to hospital, also with shortness of breath. He also had COVID. His wife had, my wife had COVID. My second eldest brother had, my sister. So it spread through our whole family. The 15th, that evening, that Tuesday, the 15th of December, my wife said my breathing was quite fast, quite quick and shallow. So she phoned my mother to take me to the hospital. It was about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So they took me through, they did some tests, but they said, no, sir, your oxygen levels are not low enough. You're still fine to be at home. But I was struggling in that moment. I had a bad cough and I had shortness of breath. I struggled to breathe. And then the next day, the 16th of December, the afternoon, I struggled again. I told my wife, no, I'm struggling to breathe. Take me to hospital. And then she phoned her sister and she took me through to Kuildriven Netcare. And then they did the test. Actually the 15th, we went for our first test at our GP. So they did the test, and then the 16th, the results wasn't out yet because it was a public holiday. And then at the hospital, they did another test. And then they checked my oxygen levels and they said, okay, no, these quite low. We're going to take you in, but we're going to hold you one side till your results come in. And then my results came next morning. I'm tested positive, but I knew that. I could feel that, no, this is not a normal cold or flu, this is COVID. So they booked me in. I went to a general ward, just me and another guy, but the hospital was very full. So this room looked like a makeshift room that they had to quickly put together. They put some beds in and me and another guy was in there. And I was just, that time was a blur for me. I was dizzy. I didn't have appetite. I had pain on my chest. Every time when I would go to the bathroom, I would come back very dizzy. So they put me on oxygen, but very low oxygen. And I just remember one night, one of the nurses waking me up and saying, you must breathe, you must breathe. But I was telling her, I am breathing. And there they could see, okay, that my lungs wasn't operating as it should because my oxygen levels was quite low. And then I think the 18th or the 19th December, they booked me into ICU. And then I went to ICU, they did more tests. In ICU, they hook you up to a lot of wires and stuff just to monitor your vitals. And then my chest was still really sore. So I was on antibiotics for a chest infection. I think it was COVID pneumonia that I had. So I was on antibiotics. I was on steroids to open up my chest, to help my breathing. And in ICU, the days turned into weeks. So I was about 3 weeks in ICU. And I saw physios in the hospital. And it was quite tough because I would lie on the bed and I would just sit up and sit on the bed, turn to the side. And just that would be an effort. And my oxygen levels would drop just from doing that. So my lungs was quite damaged. And then I got pneumonia a second time while in hospital. And I think that set me back another week. So I was 3 weeks in ICU. I saw about 3-4 different doctors because it was during December. Every time a doctor would go and leave for a few days or off for the weekend, and I would see someone else. But I had a good doctor that was quite patient with me because it took about 2 weeks for my oxygen levels to actually come back to a level that they felt was good enough. I was on high flow oxygen for quite long, 2-3 weeks. But I saw a lot of people also die in the hospital. At night they would come, guys dressed in white suits would come and fetch the bodies, and I would hear, because I was lying quite close to the ICU front desk, and I would hear how the nurses would phone people's family and say, okay, no, you need to come in, or your father, your mother has passed on, you need to come in. So I saw a lot of people die, but I also saw a lot of people leave ICU. That has gotten better. And I never had a fear that I was gonna not make it, that I was not gonna not come out of there. I always had faith. My faith was quite strong. I prayed a lot. My family prayed, and I think it's through the glory of God that I was healed. I came out of there, and once my oxygen levels in ICU got up to a level that they were happy with, they sent me first to a general ward again around the 10th of January. So I was Christmas in ICU, New Year's I was in ICU. So the 10th of January they sent me back to a general ward, and there I recovered, and then slowly they lowered our percentage of oxygen that we were taking in, because I was on quite a high percentage in ICU, and slowly day by day they lowered it. And then the 14th or the 13th the doctor spoke to me and said, okay, you are doing much better, you can leave the 14th, but they're going to have to send me home with oxygen, because I was still very much dependent on the oxygen. Any movements that I did, standing up, walking, it would take a big effort and my oxygen levels would drop a lot. So I needed to practice my breathing. I had physio about every day, twice a day in the hospital, and yeah, that was quite tough. And then I came home. I stayed by my mother's house for a month or two, me and my wife and the kids, just to help with my recovery. And it took about 10 days to get off the oxygen. I would have to sleep with it on, but then during the day I would just have a bit in the morning and then go off the oxygen for the day, and then at night again I would go on it. But my recovery has been good. I would say I'm about 90% recovered. I still have some shortness of breath if I maybe try and run, or if I do stairs, or if I do any strenuous exercise, I still have shortness. And my lungs, I can still feel a bit of the scarring. There was a lot of scarring that was done to my lungs because of the COVID, and that is still there. But the doctor, I met with my lung doctor that saw me in hospital about a few weeks ago. He said that's just time that will heal it. Nothing that he can do, no operation or procedure. It's just time that will heal that. But I'm happy. I'm doing good. I'm functional. I can do everything I need to do. Play with my kids, do my work. I can walk. I can run. I can do a lot of things. So I'm happy. And yeah, that's my COVID story. It made me appreciate the important things in life. Family, God, just having a job, just being able to be outside and just breathe. The simple things in life I don't take for granted anymore, whether it's just playing with my kids or just going to the shop, stuff like that is now precious to me, because while I had COVID, there was no visitors allowed, because it was heavy COVID during that time. The hospital was locked down, no one could come in. So going through my father passing on and dealing with the COVID, that was just a tough time. And yes, you got your phone calls and your video calls and stuff, but it can't replace, having the person close to you. So I appreciate life much more. I live life to the fullest now. There's nothing to be feared, because the recovery rate is quite high. And I would encourage people to live healthy lifestyles, because when I got COVID, my sugar, because I'm diabetic, so that's my underlying condition, and my sugar was quite high. It was out of control, and then the doctor said that because my sugar was that high, that's why I got COVID that badly. If my sugar was more controlled in the, where the range it should be, I would have had it milder. So I would say don't fear COVID. You must live your life, but live a healthy life, and it can be overcome.
The cat was out the bag, and it derailed me, distorted me, and dismantled my future endeavors. Hey! Who are you? Silence. Silence one, silence two, silence everywhere. It was December. December, a time where family is valued most. A time where music is valued most. A time where time is valued most. You took that away from me. You claimed my life. You robbed me my smile. You robbed me my laughter. Waves of the waters, come down. 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 Waves. Waves of the waters, come down. The great king summoned his people to heal them. And the interpretation is clear. And the interpretation is clear. And the interpretation is clear. The symptoms started on the 8th of December. I spent 2 weeks in ICU. I saw different doctors, about 3 in a row. I had chest pains and I didn't know what was happening. I would hear nurses calling families to come and collect their dead bodies. Guys in white suit would come in to pick up the bodies. But on the same breath, I saw people living. My family would be praying for me. They sent me to the general ward on the 10th of January. After spending Christmas and New Year's in ICU, I finally came back home to my family. And it took about 10 days to get off the oxygen. My sugar levels were up, the doctor said. And that's what worsened my COVID. This experience made me appreciate everything in life. The simple things like playing with my kids. I didn't think it was serious. I thought it was just another random flu. COVID was on the verge of claiming my life. So he sits down and gets up again. And he sits down and he gets up again. And he sits down and he gets up again. And he sits down and he gets up again. So I was running, took a detour around the bend and kept on running. Pointless, yes, but still, I kept on running. I kept on running. It was 3 to 4 weeks. And I was in ICU. In December, the 12th month of the year, I was in ICU, fighting for my life. Didn't even get a chance to be with my family, a chance to play with my kids. Well, everyone was happy, overjoyed, and excited about the festivities. I was dying. I was dying. In my ward, I would see people walking in and out. I would see white men wearing white suits coming to collect dead bodies. And I was just laying there, hopeless. And I would hear nurses calling families to come collect the dead bodies. And I was just laying there, hopeless. I lost hope. I lost hope. I thought I was gonna die. But the only thing that kept me alive was my faith. And my Bible. Because I kept on praying. And that's the only thing that kept me alive. Yeah.